So I decided that during nap time right now I'd come downstairs and just kind of get the math work ready for Kirsten. Because earlier I came down and I picked out these 4 pages and we did all 4 because we were just doing the backs mainly. She did the front out loud on a couple of them because she can do simple addition with her doubles. She has trouble sometimes 6 plus 6, but then we review 5 plus 5, and then she realizes she just adds 1 to each of those numbers, so then she comes up with 12 for 6 plus 6. And then 8 plus 8 she has trouble with. But she can get all of her plus 1s and plus 0s and her doubles, and some of her ones that equal to 10, so 7 plus 3, for example. So I just pulled these out, and we were doing the backs and building the numbers for that. So we were building 216, and there, for 3 of these papers, that's what the backs were. So that's what we did, and then we did one with patterns. So I just had her use blocks. I didn't have her color this. This is all from Matthew C, because that's the program we use. So we got 4 pages done today simply because I was going to skip them, but because we hadn't done the place value in a while, I decided we would just go ahead and work with the blocks and build, the 216 or 111 or whatever. So that kind of reminded me to go back to that concept because we haven't gone back to that in a while. So, and she did pretty well with that. She needed a little bit of scaffolding, a little bit of help with it, but she was able to get the numbers and she's able to say them. Sometimes she has trouble. Like when it was the teens, like 216, it took her a little bit to realize that the 10 bar and the 6 units was 16 because she was trying to say other things for it, which is understandable. But that was a good reminder. That was a good review for us, so we'll be doing more of that coming up. So I came down. I'm going to put this away and take a look at what we're going to pull out next. It looks like the next section we are going to do is lesson 17, which deals with skip counting, which we haven't taught her yet. Some of the stuff in here, I think this was the first time we skipped anything, because I just kind of felt like, well, if she can do it, what's the point of really skipping it? So, I mean, if she couldn't do it, because you don't have to master in the kindergarten level, you don't have to master the concept before moving on. If they don't get it, that's okay, you just move on. And we haven't had to do that. She's been able to do pretty much everything. Some of it she knew ahead of time, like when we started with it, she already knew how to count to 9 and things like that, but we still did the worksheets. At that point, she was doing a couple a day to get through them because she could do it easily and she enjoyed it, so we did that. We have not done it every day. We have very much been very laid back with it. I mean, we've been working on it for a year and we're only halfway through the book, so that kind of gives you an idea of how we roll here. So we skipped some of the stuff in section 16 today. So 17 is skip counting, which we haven't taught her directly, but we'll count back and forth, and I'll take the odd numbers, she gets the even. So technically she's skip counting, she just doesn't realize that she's getting all those even numbers, which is skip counting by 2s. So that's what they teach them in 17A. So that's what we're working on next, and then it goes into skip counting by 5s, I think, next, or 10s. Maybe it's 10s. I think it's 10s and then 5s. And when they teach them the 5s, then the next lesson after that is the tally marks, teaching them how to do tally marks, because that's counting by 5s. And then there's clockwork still to do, and adding up to 10, so 7 plus 3, 8 plus 2, things like that. So they have that, and then they have a couple lessons after the clock. They have a couple lessons with subtraction. And that's it. And then we're done with the kindergarten level, and like I said, we've been doing this for about a year now. My goal is to have this completed in the next couple months so that when the baby comes, after the baby comes, we can take a break for a little while, because I'm probably not going to feel like doing lessons with them. I mean, we'll still live life in 2 lessons as we go with life, but I'm not going to do any any formal pages or anything with them for a few weeks at least, for 3 to 6 weeks probably. So I'd like to have her done with her math then. We're almost done with her Sing, Spell, Read, Write, which is our reading program. We have, if we were to do it every day, we have about 3 weeks left, but we don't do it every day. So we probably have like 6 weeks left of that, or hopefully less, but you never know. So hopefully we'll be moving along with this pretty soon. Just kind of an update with people who know us, I guess, and people who don't, who are interested in knowing. We were considering kindergarten. Well, I've always kind of considered it. My husband wasn't always on board with it. And part of that was I was working at the time when I first started thinking about homeschooling my kids. And then I got laid off a year ago from teaching middle school and high school. Well, high school at the end was what I was doing. So I got laid off, and so I was home with the kids. And since I started teaching them the Sing, Spell, Read, Write, and the Matthew C, and having my husband see how much they were learning by being home with me, he's on board now with it, and he has no problems with it. I don't have a job, so why not? I'm available to be here with the kids. There are reasons why not. If I can't juggle it, then we'll have to send her to school the next year. But she is already mostly through the kindergarten stuff, so I think for this year we can kind of keep her home and see where we are for next year. So he's on board with it now, and hopefully we'll keep moving along with it, and we'll homeschool her for a little while. Or maybe all the way through high school. I don't know. We don't know yet. So we'll take it 1 year at a time. I can't really say we've had like a lot of support. It's not like everybody we've told going, yeah, homeschool, that's great. A lot of times they go, what? You want to homeschool? Why would you want to do that? And I'm sure it comes from different reasons for them. And if they've never done it, then they don't have the concept of it maybe, or maybe they think, why would you want to give up time that you could have away from your child? Yeah, sometimes they drive me nuts, but I still enjoy teaching them, and I still love them, and it's nice to have them home because I can work with them on their behavior. I can work on them with just character and things like that, instead of relying on somebody else to be with them most of the day, and then I have, I'm exhausted at the end of the day, and now I've got to, try and teach them life skills and things like that. So I enjoy the idea of homeschooling. Other people may have said it because they don't think that I can do it. I'm not a very organized person. I'm very much type B. I fly by the seat of my pants. I'm spontaneous. I go with the flow. So my husband balances that because he's type A. He gets stressed pretty easily, whereas me, it takes more to get me stressed and upset and things like that, usually. So usually you have organized type A personalities, are like the organized homeschool moms, and that's not me. I'm not the organized homeschool mom. I have supplies and I have things because I've been a teacher, so I kind of have a little bit of that organization, but not a lot of it. I just have enough to get things on the shelf and have supplies, and that's it. They're not totally organized, and I'm not the mom that has the caddy in the middle of the table that has all the pens and pencils and things like that and everything ready to go. We rarely take out paints. We did a project recently, to show a picture of it in here, insert it in here. We did them with our feet and our hands for my husband's birthday, for a birthday card present thing from the girls. So we did that. They do like to do artsy craftsy stuff, so I think we'll get more into that this year, now that they're older and I can trust them a little bit more with, with getting messy and doing things like that. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone having to clean that up. I'm not a big fan of cleaning. Cleaning is one of those things where I do it because I know that in the end it'll be better for me. Like, I do the dishes at night so that in the morning I don't have to see them and I don't have to feel stressed when I see them. So that's the kind of thinker I am. I don't do them because, yay, I want this clean house all the time. You know, they get done at night so I don't have to be stressed in the morning, and so I can have a fresh start in the morning. That's something recently that I've started doing to kind of make life a little easier. So yeah, so that's not my personality, to be very organized, and I see blogs out there all the time of moms who are awesome organizers and everything's scheduled and everything's planned, and that's not me, and if that's not you, that's okay too. I also want to just encourage other moms who are considering homeschooling. I'm glad I started a year early and kind of was working with my kids through that, because it gave me the confidence, because they were picking things up. Even if they weren't picking everything up, they were figuring some things out, and I got to see how they learned a little bit, got to see kind of their view of learning and whether they liked it or they didn't like it, and when did they get attitudes, and you know, when did they get fussy and not want to do something. So you get to kind of work through that and see how your child works. But at the beginning I was like, I've never taught elementary school. I don't know if I could do this. How am I going to do it? And it really was a blessing that I got laid off when I did, because had I had one more year, I'd be dealing with that now when she's actually going into kindergarten, and I would probably be feeling the pressure a little bit more, because kindergarten, you think you have to start at kindergarten or whatever. It's not required by my state. The state of Pennsylvania does not require kindergarten, so I'm kind of laid back about that. I'm like, okay, well, we get through what we get through, and you know, if we need to send her to school next year, hopefully she's already prepared for that, and we'll see where she stands and see what they think. But as of right now, we don't plan on doing that. But we'll see what the future holds when the future gets here and it's the present. Yeah, so I want to encourage moms that, you know, you might think, I don't know if I can do this. How many books do I need to buy? You know, for kindergarten, I could tell you going through this that you can teach a lot of this stuff without having to buy a book to teach it. You can use Legos, and I'm probably going to make a video about how you can use Legos for preschool concepts, of teaching preschool concepts or kindergarten concepts, for math and things like that. So, and even higher, you can use it for higher level too, bar graphs and things. So I'll probably make a video of my thoughts on that. But there are things you can use every day around your house. You can use things that you see in nature to teach your child concepts. You don't have to have a workbook and have them do it on paper, because as a teacher, I know that this is we kind of live on worksheets. We say, oh, they need to show me what they can do, and this is how I know. And it's like, no, if they can show you in another way that they understand how to add or subtract, you know, let's face it, the real world concept of adding and subtracting is more important in their life than can you add and subtract on a piece of paper. So yeah, sometimes you do it on paper, but a lot of times, you know, you're doing it in the grocery store in your head, and using oranges and apples and whatever you have around you. So a lot of things we focus on in the way that we learned it, and I learned it in a public school with worksheets and handouts and learning it that way. And so my brain wants me to think this is how I need to do it, when really there's so much around me that I can use. So use what's around you to teach your children as much as possible, because that's where they're going to use it. They're going to use it in life. They're not going to have everything done on paper. So have confidence. You can do it. There's lots of free stuff out on the internet for how to teach different concepts. There are free math worksheets everywhere if you wanted to go the route of doing math worksheets. Sometimes it's nice to have a program. I like the program that we have, the Math You See. They get to watch a video with me that teaches the concept. It gives me a little bit of confidence because I know what they're supposed to be working on in that lesson, those sets of worksheets and things. But I can also veer off of that and just do that lesson in real life instead of doing it on worksheets too. So believe in yourself. You can do it. If you want some products, then get some products. Try some things out. You can resell them later if you want. Then there are some things that we teach them that aren't curriculum, like Bible. We would teach them Bible verses, and they memorize those. Kids soak that stuff up. My kids can pick up Bible verses and tell me Bible verses, and I think it was last Christmas, so like 8 months ago, or somewhere around 8 months, 7-8 months ago, they were picking up Bible verses. Like we started, well, I think we had learned a few before that, but then we started with working with Luke in the story of Jesus' birth. And so it was neat to see how they could learn a big chunk of verses slowly. They would learn 1 or 2 verses of that story a week. And that was really neat to see them learn that and just see them recite it. And, you know, they need a little bit of help sometimes, but otherwise they did great at it. So then we started just doing individual ones after that. You know, so it's fun. They enjoy it. They can do it. You come up with motions for it. And I think it's helped them too, because at VBS they learned Bible verses, and that was no big deal to them because they, you know, they learned them at home too. So their brain's already getting used to memorizing things. So that was fun, and we talk about them, and we describe words that we don't know, like integrity. One of our verses had integrity in it. We talked about that as a character quality. Let's see, what else do we teach them? You know, you teach them things like cooking and making things, and wherever they have interest, you just run with it. You teach them art if they like to draw and color, and let them go at their own pace. It's like a free-for-all. We just color in the lines, color out of the lines, you know, there's no rule about it. They eventually color in the lines anyway. So they get there eventually, and it's amazing when you just let them have fun how much they will learn. And when you just kind of go with what their interests are, and you go with what's happening in life, and what you have around you as your resources, you can homeschool, you know, with whatever you have. You can do it. Trust me, you can do it. So have confidence, and hopefully you'll be able to build that confidence as you go, as I've built it over the year, and hopefully I'll build more and more confidence as I go, because I'm not too enthusiastic about having to teach, you know, science and history and things that, you know, weren't always my favorite subjects in school. I did great. I love math. Which might be where my daughter gets it. So, you know, I don't look forward to that yet, but hopefully once I decide what I'm going to do with it, then I'll look forward to it. So we'll see. Anyway, if you have any questions about homeschooling or starting up or anything like that, let me know. If you want some ideas for, you know, math or reading or whatever, maybe I can come up with some, or other people that are subscribed or people that view the video can also come up with some ideas for you as well. My background is I have my master's in education with the concentration in differentiated instruction. So I like the concept of making learning available to everybody in whatever way they like to learn, but not always, because you don't want to make everything to where, you know, you might have a musical child and you allow them to do all of their assessments in a musical style. You know, they still need to know how to read things, and they need to know how to write things, and but you are able to give them opportunities to choose which way they want to test for something. Usually that's later on. I mean, in kindergarten you don't really have testing. You know if they mastered it because they'll show it to you as they're doing various activities. You don't have to give them an official test for everything. So, you know, I like the idea of differentiated instruction and teaching students that there are various ways that you can show me that you've learned something. So keep that in mind. There's not just one way to show somebody that you know something. Keep that in mind as you're doing your homeschooling.